Failing to have a plan is like planning to fail. People often overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but massively underestimate what they can do in a decade. It's something you should aim to get to, I believe, so you can really take control of your destiny and start doing what you really want with your life. See, a lot of people who are out there doing lots of property things, but they're not necessarily doing the right things. All successful people recognize this. You are not going to be successful on your own. It's all about having a plan, committing to that plan, taking regular action, and building your network. Remember, you want people around you who can help you and support you. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Property Magic Podcast, in which I like to get you to think about what is your plan for 2025. You know what they say? Failing to have a plan is like planning to fail. If you don't have a plan of what you want to achieve, ultimately you'll end up fitting into someone else's plan. So it's really important to work out, what do you want to get? And this is a great time of year to be thinking about what you want to achieve. Now, in the last episode of the Property Magic Podcast, I talked about how we want to look backwards over our shoulder to learn from what's happened, also to see all the things we have achieved, put ourselves in a really good state before we think about what we want to do next year. So hopefully you've gone through that episode. If you haven't, you might want to listen to that. But then also you need to think about, what goals do you want to achieve for this next 12 months? And I'd like to stretch that slightly in this episode, because it's really good to think about the next 12 months, but you want to put it into context of what do you want to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years. Tony Robbins has got a great saying. He says people often overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but massively underestimate what they can do in a decade. And after all, we are coming to the start of 2025. We've had the first 25 years of this century. I want to think back. What have you achieved over the last 25 years? Are you now where you want to be? And why don't we speed up the results you get by really focusing on not just the next year, 2025, but what about the next 5 years? What's your plan for the next 5 years? Then we can work backwards to work out what you actually need to do. So I've told you this before, but a very quick summary. I think there are a couple of levels that most people want to aim for. The first level is to get to a point where you're what we call financially independent. That means that you no longer have to work. You no longer have to trade your time for money, whether that's working for someone else or even running your own business. And very often, most people who have their own business, if they're a one-man band, they basically have a job. And very often, they're working for a tyrant. They put all these hours into their business, and they might be paid a fairly good salary, but if you work out the hourly rate, it's not actually that much. So the whole point is, let's get to the point where you no longer have to work, because all of your bases are covered every single month. Now, you might not want to quit work. I love what I do, and I think I would drive my wife crazy if I didn't work and I was at house all the time. But the whole point is, if you have that independence, you then have that flexibility. And for me, it's about having a safety net. So if something happened to you and you weren't able to work, or something happened to you, the company you work for, or if you have your own business, something happened to that company, if that income suddenly disappeared, it doesn't matter, because you've got this passive income coming in thanks to your property investing. So that's the first level of financial independence, where you don't have to work for anyone else. The next level is financial freedom, where you have enough money to do whatever you want in your life. If you want to go on holiday somewhere, you just go on holiday. You're not thinking or worrying about the cost of doing that. And that's quite a big step up for financial independence, but it's something you should aim to get to, I believe, so you can really take control of your destiny and start doing what you really want with your life. So I encourage you to think about, what are those two levels? What do they mean for you? What's the actual number? And let's think about the plan for you to get there. So for most people, if they were to make £3,000 or £4,000 a month before tax, that will be enough to cover their salary and cover their bases. And in reality, if you're using strategies such as HMOs, which is a house of multiple occupation, where you rent out individual rooms to tenants such as students or young professionals, or if you have serviced accommodation, where you're renting very short term, you're advertising on Airbnb and you're renting to holidaymakers and contractors, etc., and getting a much higher rent, those two strategies should make you at least £1,000 profit per month from each property. So actually, maybe just 3 or 4 properties would be enough for the average person to replace their income. Now, 3 or 4 properties might only take a year or maybe 2 to acquire. So actually, you're probably much closer to financial independence than you actually thought you were. But it all starts with you making a decision and a commitment. This is something you want to go after. Now, you do not have to do property investing full time. Let me make that very clear. And in fact, some of our most successful students are people who've got full-time jobs, or they're running a busy business. They don't have a lot of spare time. So it's about doing the right things in that time. See, a lot of people who are out there doing lots of property things, but they're not necessarily doing the right things. So getting educated to work out what you should do, and ideally having a coach to hold you account to make sure you're doing the right things and not wasting your time on things that are not actually moving you forward. These will all keep you on track and help you achieve your property investing goals. Now, the other thing that's really important, and all successful people recognize this, you are not going to be successful on your own. You can't do everything on your own. You don't have the skills, the resources, the time to do everything. So really, you can achieve far more by working with other people. Now, that doesn't mean you have to partner with other people, but you can get people working for you and get people helping you. And so you don't need to know everything, but if you have a big enough network, within your network, you'll have all the knowledge you need. For example, I know a little bit about planning permission. I'm not a planning permission expert. I don't want to spend my time learning about planning permission. I just pick up the phone and call my planning consultant. I understand a bit about mortgages, but I don't know about every single mortgage product out there. I don't need to, because when I need to know, I pick up the phone and speak to my mortgage broker, who knows all the products, and he's been doing it for many, many years. So although you need to know some things, you don't need to know everything. And when you have the right people in your network, those are people you can tap into, give them a call and help you. And it might just be other investors. You know, if you meet other investors from your local area, you might find a deal that doesn't work for you, but maybe you could pass it to someone else you know might be interested in that and maybe get paid a fee for it. Or vice versa, maybe someone else is out, they find something that doesn't work for them, they can pass it to you. Something that you haven't found, a great deal you could do, and just pay them a small finder's fee. Sometimes people worry about, should I pay finder's fees or not? Well, I know how to find great deals, and I've been very happy to pay people when they brought really good deals to me. And I'm okay with that because they found something that I didn't find, they've saved me time. And it's not just saying, hey, there's this property on Rightmove, what do you think? No, they've spoken to the owner, they've negotiated, they've secured a deal, and I'm really happy to pay them for their time for doing that. And it's really important to recognize that time is your most valuable asset. If you want to achieve these goals, as financial independence or financial freedom, and you're not doing everything on your own, who are the people who you can get to do some tasks for you so you don't have to do them? Now, very often, most people have what's called a cost mindset. They worry about the cost of employing a letting agent to look after their property. And I must admit, when I first started to invest, I was managing my properties myself because I didn't want to pay 10% of my rental income to a letting agent. I thought I could do that job myself, and I could for a number of years. But the more and more properties I got, and the more properties you get, you'll spend more time managing and less time actually buying, and it's buying where you make the money. So there will come a time where you need to bring people in and get them to help you in your property business. Another example is a virtual assistant. I'm sure there are lots of things you're doing right now in your property business that are important, they need doing, but you don't necessarily need to do them. Particularly if they're routine, mundane things you have to keep doing, why not get someone else you pay a much lower wage to, they're very happy with that, and it frees up your time to spend time doing the things you really should be doing, which I believe is finding motivated sellers, speaking to those people, and coming up with an ethical win-win solution. If you find people who've got a problem and we can help solve their problem, they can be far more likely to give us what we want. So your plan for 2025, you set the big goal, you break it down to the small steps. And let's say you do want those 4 properties, giving you £1,000 a month each month. Well, if you want 4 properties in the next 12 months, 12 divided by 4 is 3. What that means is every 3 months you need to be acquiring a new property. That will help keep you on track and make sure you're doing the right things. So then you could work out, okay, I've got 3 months to get a property, what do I need to do? And you can break down to what you need to do each month, each week, and even each day. Now, if you're buying a property, you might find it might take a month or so to find it, negotiate it, and get a deal agreed. Or you might be lucky, you find someone's really motivated, you get a deal agreed really quickly. It's still going to take 3 or 4 months for that deal to complete. And a mistake that many, many people do is they find one deal, they just focus on getting that deal done, and then once the deal's done, 3, 4, 5 months later, they're back to square one looking for deals again. To really accelerate your progress and achieve your property goals in 2025, what you need to have is a pipeline of property deals. What I mean by that is you have different deals at different stages. So some you're just looking for the deals, you're trying to work out if they're a good deal or not. Some say, yeah, that looks like a good deal. You actually arrange a viewing. Some properties you're looking at, some you're making an offer on, some you're negotiating. Now, very often the offers you make will get rejected. So it's really important to also follow up. So when someone says no, it doesn't mean no never, it just means no, not now. We put it into our follow-up box, and next month we call them, text them, whatever, reach out and see, hey, are they interested in doing a deal? Now, they may not have been motivated when you first spoke to them, but as time goes on, most people become more and more motivated. So a no now might well be a yes in 3, 4, 5, 6 months' time. Some of our mastermind students have picked up amazing deals 2 years after they first spoke to an owner. And the property might have come on and gone off the market, but they've kept in touch, and because they've followed up, they've secured really good deals. So what this means, if you have a pipeline of deals at different stages, if a deal falls over, it doesn't matter because you've got another deal. A big mistake you want to avoid is where investors become what we call motivated buyers. What that means, they're so desperate to do a deal, or they've spent so much time and effort on a deal, or maybe they've spent a bit of money on surveys and legals, they try and tweak the numbers to make it work. That's not a good thing to do. In this current market, which as I record this, is a buyer's market, which means we have more people looking to sell than are looking to buy, you should only be doing really great property deals. And if it's not a great deal, don't do it. So something I teach my students is when you see a property deal, what you want to do is get to a no quickly. You want to know what your numbers are. What's the cash flow you need? What's the return on investment? Is it the right kind of property and the right kind of area with a strong rental demand? If it doesn't meet your criteria, put it aside and move on to the next. There are so many properties out there. Don't waste time on deals that are not great deals, and make sure you're only doing the very best deals and have that pipeline. So if a deal falls over, it doesn't matter. You don't get emotionally attached to it. You can just move on to the next one. If you have this pipeline of deals, this is going to be a much easier way for you to hit your 3, 4, 5 properties in 2025 to achieve your property investing goal. It's all about having a plan, committing to that plan, taking regular action, and building your network. Remember, you want people around you who can help you and support you. Now, one of the great things you can do in January to kick yourself off to 2025 is book into your local property investor network meeting. There are 50 plus meetings all over the UK, plus a couple of the Netherlands. If you've never been before, you can come along to your very first meeting, see what you've been missing out on by going to pinmeeting.co.uk. We'll put a link in the show notes and below the video. And then go to the event that's in your local area. There's a whole list of them on that page. And then see when the date is, the time, make sure you can do it. They're normally in the evening. They're on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so they're during the week in the evening. And make sure you can do the date, and then click on where it says pay, click on pay with a voucher code. And you can use the word podcast as a voucher code to come to your very first meeting. If you're already being to PIN, you know how amazing they are. Make sure you book in to your January meeting right now, put it in the diary, get it done, commit to your future success. And you should be committing to go to these events every single month because you want to grow your network, you want to meet other like-minded people, you want to connect with other people in your area, you want to hear some of the top experts who come and speak at those meetings. And as we have a bit of a bonus, depending on when you listen to this podcast, if you listen every Tuesday, well, good for you, and I want to reward you for that. If you book your PIN meeting for January 2025 before the 23rd or before or on the 23rd of December, you're actually going to get access to a training which I've done for my mastermind students between Christmas and New Year, all about how to set your goals and make sure the next year is your best year yet. So all you have to do is go and book your PIN meeting before the 23rd of December, and you'll automatically get an email inviting you to that online training. Now, we're going to have lots of different times between about the 26th and 29th of December. You know when you get a bit of cabin fever, you spend some great time with your family, then you've just spent just a bit too much time with your family. It'll be really good for you to spend some time planning for you and your future and what you want to achieve between Christmas and New Year period to give you a flying start into 2025. So come and book your PIN meeting right now before the 23rd of December, and you'll get into that goal-setting masterclass I'm doing originally just for my masterminds. We are selling it for £500, but you access completely free of charge. So that's my little pre-Christmas gift to you. 2025 is going to be an amazing year. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Enjoy the festive season. And as ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge invest with skill. Now, if you're watching the video, please like the podcast, like this video, subscribe to the podcast channel, and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified anytime these videos come out. So when you have timely videos like this that have a special time-sensitive offer, I don't want you to miss out on those. So as ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'd love to hear in the comments below, what's your big plan? What's your goal for 2025? Come on, comment below, and I'll come and respond to you. So as ever, I encourage you to invest in knowledge, invest in skill. See you next time.